Fighting out of the red corner, this man is a boxer and a wrestler, holding a professional record, 17 wins, 5 losses, 1 no contest. He stands 6 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 185 pounds. Fighting out of Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, Dylan the Villain Androooz. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Herb Dean.
So Herb Dean, your third man in the octagon. Brittany Palmer doing work outside the octagon, and we are ready for what is an intriguing middleweight clash here.
Ready, good.
Between Dylan Androooz and Poppy Abeeedy, they touch him up, and we are underway. It's Abeeedy in the blue trunks and the Australian Dylan Androooz in the white.
Dylan Androooz, a very precise striker, has excellent hands. Abeeedy comes from a high-level judo background, has heavy leg kicks. Sometimes gets caught brawling out there. In his last fight, really put together his whole mixed martial arts game very, very well. Androooz trying to keep Abeeedy on the outside. Dylan Androooz trying to jam Poppy Abeeedy up with that lead hand. He's trying to take away that lead hand. Takes away the jab, it takes away the hook, and it takes away the range. Now Androooz goes back to southpaw. And when he does that, when he starts checking that lead hand, you got to watch for that right hand right down the pipe. Androooz making sure he keeps that left hand on the outside of Abeedy's right leg. Nice kick from Abeeedy.
So Abeeedy looking fluid here in the early going, and as Kenny alluded to, you will see a lot of that stance switching from Dylan Androooz. Crowd reacts as Abeeedy lands while moving forward.
Abeeedy trying to set up that takedown. He has some very good inside trips that he utilizes. Uses a very good koichigari that you see in judo very often. Very good foot trips. Let's see if he utilizes it. It looks like he's going for a leg attack. He does. He's got the single now. The crotch to double. Beautiful takedown from Poppy Abeeedy right into side control.
And Dylan Androooz no slouch when it comes to his takedown defense. So impressive and powerful out of Poppy Abeeedy here early.
This is where Androooz does not want to be. He's got an underhook here. Let's see if he can get back to his guard or get back to his feet. He is able to do that. Hits a body lock. Takedown. Abeeedy right back to his feet here. Androooz has the back, trying to work a standing possible head and arm. But Abeedy's out of it.
Androooz has done his homework. Poppy Abeeedy at times has been susceptible to the submission, and you see Dylan Androooz seems to be looking for it here early enough.
Having a little conversation there. Androooz trying to get out of that clinch, and he's right back to his feet. There's that oichigari, or inside trip, from Poppy Abeeedy. Beautiful takedown. He did that repeatedly in his last fight. And goes right back to work on the ground against Dylan Androooz. Dylan Androooz trying to create some space between his hips and Poppy Abeeedy to try to get a butterfly guard going, see if he elevates the hips of Abeeedy. Here he is trying to do that, create some space and get back to his feet, but Abeeedy keeping things under control with that underhook. He needs to stick with that underhook. Try to keep position here. Androooz doing a good job of trying to get up with that single leg, but Abeeedy right back in control here in half guard.
And continues to keep the pressure on with a nice elbow there that lands flush.
Abeeedy just looking so much more comfortable now, John, than he did in his first fight in the UFC. Just seemed like a ball of energy. He seems way more controlled as he goes for this guillotine here. Androooz trying to fight hands here to try to create some space and protect that neck. Poppy Abeedy's got a little under a minute to go for it. Androooz going for a single leg now into a double. Poppy with a nice overhook to try to make things difficult for Androooz, trying to get head control. Androooz, oh! Androooz trying to get a takedown, and Papi with a beautiful whizzer there, or Osotogari there, now trying to go right back to that guillotine. He's got it very tight. Androooz tries to counter by going to his back. Smart decision there. Papi now lets go.
So Dylan Androooz, a near 3-1 favorite here tonight, getting all he can handle in our opening frame against Papi Abeeedy.
Abeeedy needs to be careful there. He keeps giving up that single leg, and Androooz getting a takedown into side control here to end the round.
A nice takedown for the Australian Androooz to put a bow on round one. Here as we get ready for round two, and it appeared as though Dylan Androooz was complaining to his corner in between rounds about an injury to his left hand. So that certainly bears watching as this fight progresses. And of course the advice from the corner, then attack with your right, bro, right?
Yeah, exactly. You got two hands. Use the other one.
So we'll see if Dylan Androooz stays in the orthodox stance here more regularly in round two. Androooz can be very dynamic, hasn't found his range to this point in the fight, largely because of the work by his counterpart, Papi Abeeedy.
And it's the threat of the takedown, too, John. When you're a double threat in there, when you have that takedown game and the striking, you really freeze up the striking of the other man. And that's what Papi's doing. He's mixing things up much, much better now.
Inside leg kick lands for Androooz.
Androooz doing a good job of kicking out that lead leg, going with the inside leg kick. Abeeedy really looking for that kick to the body. Has to be careful to get countered with that right hand down the pipe, though. Abeeedy, a powerful guy, though. He's throwing that body kick very quickly, which is going to make it difficult for Androooz to catch.
But Androooz really, Kenny, just pawing that left hand out there, not trying to establish the jab, just trying to find his range.
Yeah, he's throwing out a lot of tester strikes, but he needs to get the respect from Papi Abeeedy and start throwing some power. He needs to start making Abeeedy pretty nervous, and I'd like to see both guys try to go to the body as well, mix things up. Both are looking for headshots.
Nice counter jab there from the southpaw Papi Abeeedy.
Abeeedy really throws a beautiful left kick to the body. Very fast. Androooz, let's see if he times it now with his right hand. That's what it seems like he's doing. He's trying to time Abeeedy and get a read on him. And quite hasn't been able to do it. There he goes to the body. Little right hand to the body against the southpaw Abeeedy is always a good choice.
And certainly hard in the clinch if you do have an injury to your hand. Nice job there by Androooz, but Abeeedy gets back to his feet quickly.
Androooz with a takedown attempt there, almost hit it. Nice knee off the break, and he's starting to get each shots from Abeeedy here.
Yeah, and that right hook appeared to stun Dylan Androooz.
He's dropping his hands and he's going straight back. Johnny has to make sure he keeps those hands up and circles away. Abeeedy trying to bait him into a guillotine here. But what I don't like for Abeeedy, he keeps giving up that left underhook to Dylan Androooz, and that's what's allowing Androooz to get back to his feet. We saw the end of the first round where Androooz was able to get back to his feet and finish that single leg. Abeeedy needs to be careful there. Here he is, right back to it. He's got to fight for that right underhook, John.
So under 2 minutes to go now in our middle round, as Abeeedy continues to pour it on here.
There he goes. He's got the right underhook now. Now he can start to control Androooz much better from this position in half guard. Nice knee to the body from Papi. Now a big left hand, another left hand.
Huge left hands on the ground for Papi Abeeedy, who is mixing it up beautifully here on the ground.
He's going for that guillotine now as well. Hasn't really committed to it just yet. Androooz still pretty fresh, it seems, but he's kind of using it as a little threat to kind of keep Androooz on his back. And he's going for it again.
And Dylan Androooz, a very difficult guy to put away.
See if he goes to the high elbow guillotine here. Should be highly recommended here. Now he's just trying to trap the head of Androooz underneath his belly button, try to create pressure on the back of the neck of Androooz, try to get the guillotine. Poppy giving up that underhook again, really trying to wrench the neck of Androooz, but he's given up underhooks all day, and Androooz may be going to his back here, and he does.
And perhaps Poppy Abeeedy will try to knee him here. 20 seconds and counting. Dylan Androooz firing off a few knees here.
Androooz showing some good jiu-jitsu here to escape the guillotine and get back to his feet. Ate some big shots from Abeeedy on the ground as well.
Perhaps a groin strike there to end round 2. All right, we are back here and ready for our third and final round. Herb Dean did not see any groin strike. Dylan Androooz denied having connected there to that region. So no harm, no foul. They touch gloves. And we are underway in our final round. Poppy Abeeedy and Dylan Androooz. And a very deliberate pace out of Dylan Androooz, which hasn't necessarily been his style in the past. Perhaps there is an injury to that left hand that's holding him back. Winded up on the right there to no avail. That one connected.
Yeah, nice right hand. He's been trying to set that up throughout the fight.
Yeah.
Finally getting his range, and he's been using it with that lead left hand. Finally threw it right down the pipe and landed it pretty well against Abeeedy, but Abeeedy right back to work with his grappling up against the cage. Look for these foot trips here. And he's showing some versatility with his takedowns as well with his leg attacks. Some nice singles and doubles there from Poppy in the first round.
Keep fighting, keep fighting.
Always a threat when you have the taller man there in the clinch going for knees. There's a threat of getting hit in the groin, and Herb Dean's going to break him up.
And as the crowd gets restless, so does the referee. So Herb Dean splits him up.
Come on. Let's fight.
As time continues to tick off the clock here, Dylan Androooz in the center of the octagon. Big right hand there.
There's the shot, and he's getting it done because that lead left hand, John, is corralling him into that right hand. Beautiful uppercut from Androooz, and he's hurt.
Yeah, Poppy is hurt. Dylan Androooz with a rally to go 2-0 in the UFC.
It was the right hand, and it was the uppercuts. Short uppercuts on the inside that hurt him. He tried to go in and save himself and look for the takedown. He was met with another uppercut from that right hand of Dylan Androooz. What a comeback from Androooz.
And just like that, Poppy Abeeedy wobbly on the canvas. Big win here for Dylan Androooz. The move of the fight is brought to you by Metro PCS 4G for all.
He was looking for this right hand all night. There it was. That's what set it all up. Look at this uppercut. Boom. Right in tight. And that's the one that finished the work, finished the job. That uppercut in tight. Devastating.
All right, we'll be back to Indianapolis with the official decision as we continue live with the UFC Fight Night prelims on Fox Sports 2. Early on in Indianapolis, we welcome you back to the UFC Fight Night prelims on Fox Sports 2, and the official decision is